collapse in the third quarter. The Mavs score 51 in the third quarter. And LeBron, his 7th straight 30-plus point game, 38, 6, and 5, another marvelous Christmas Day performance by LeBron, not close to enough as the Mavs run away and hide in the second half of this game. And we, as a media, have just almost all decided we are just going to stop being in awe of what LeBron is doing. The record for consecutive 30-point games by a 37-year-old player was Wizards' Michael Jordan at 4. LeBron's now done it 7 times in a row, but that's not really the noteworthy part. The noteworthy part is part of the legend of Michael Jordan is, and he was so old with the Wizards, and he still averaged 22 a night that first year on 41%, and 20 a game the next year. Meanwhile, LeBron turns 38 on Friday, and he's still clearly one of the 10 best players in the league. And somehow, once again, he is in a position in year 20 when, even without Anthony Davis, when he's on the court, his team's awesome. And the moment he goes to the bench, they fall apart. We can show you the last 7 games. It's not just what LeBron has done, but and I think we can, there's the full screen. 33, 6, and 7 on 58% shooting. But look at that bottom line. The Lakers are plus 54 when he's on the court, and then minus 60 when he's off the court. And so once again, much like it was with the Cavs in 2018, or hell, the Cavs in 2015, or the Cavs his first time around, or the Lakers his first year there before AD got there, the team cannot sustain minutes without him. And now Jovan Buha is reporting that because the team's not that good, the front office doesn't want to trade for pieces that might make them better. It is, you built a team that can't survive the inevitable Anthony Davis injury, even with LeBron playing far and away the best any player has ever come close to playing at this point in his career. And now, because you built such a bad team, you're using that as an excuse to not try to give this team a puncher's chance that, all right, if the playoffs started and Anthony Davis were healthy, if we were to get in, which they're going to need to make a move to be able to survive the next 6 weeks or however long it is without Anthony Davis. I know there was some reporting, maybe we'll be back in 2 weeks. Whatever it is, they need to make a move to be able to claw their way back into the playoffs. If you were to get there and Anthony Davis were to be healthy for the playoffs, he was playing the best basketball of his life. LeBron is still somehow ageless, and while he's no longer the best player or even a top 5 player in the league, he's clearly a top 10 player. But nope, we're fine with a roster where our 4th best player is Austin Reeves and our 5th best player is Lonnie Walker, and where briefly Matt Ryan was getting real minutes, even though he's not an NBA player, because we don't want to sacrifice, a 7th grader to be named later in the form of a 2029 first-round pick. It's just insane. We just watched LeBron hang 38, 6, and 5 on Christmas Day, and the Lakers can't compete despite it. It's maddening. Why can't...
Oh, no. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Start with some NBA. Big bomb dropped by my guy Wojnarowski. James Harden can hit free agency next summer and is reportedly considering a move back to Houston. Apparently, Harden and his team have been openly weighing that option in recent months. It's kind of an interesting take, given that Harden did request a deal out of Houston 2 years ago. The Rockets are the biggest dumpster fire in the West, 9-23 worst record. They got a super young team with Jalen Green in the backcourt, Kevin Porter. And, oh, by the way, James Harden turns 34 before next season. He's starting to wear down. He's not the MVP he was back in his Houston days. This feels to me kind of like a negotiating ploy to get as much money as possible out of Philadelphia. But James Harden back in Houston,
it's
very
odd.
Interesting take.
It's weird. He took less money to stay in Philly, and the idea was, that he loves Morey. He had the relationship with the previous owner, Michael Rubin of Fanatics. And it was, hey, Harden and Embiid, can they win a title? And by the way, Philly looks good the last month of basketball,
let's not say
despite
good.
the injuries.
They look okay. Let's not say good. I mean,
what haven't they won like 7 in a row? Am I tripping?
They're like a second-tier team in the East after Boston and Milwaukee. We'd agree on that, right?
Well, listen, I think Boston and Milwaukee are the two best teams, and then Philly, Cleveland, and Brooklyn are all kind of jostling in that next spot. But Milwaukee's scuttling right now without Middleton. My point, I think Harden's looks good this year. He's an odd duck, though, man. Because he didn't just ask out of Houston. If you remember, he was flouting the COVID protocol. He was at the strip club. He came in overweight. He quit on the team, then instantly went to Brooklyn and was unbelievable in that first year in Brooklyn until he got hurt. It's a weird spot. This was a weird story. And by the way, Houston, I don't mind their core. You got Green, you mentioned Porter Jr., Şengün, and then they are clearly all in on Wembanyama.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, if Wembanyama went there, Harden adding it to it, that's an interesting team. All right, what else we got?
Yeah, well, the interesting part on Harden, though, is this is a guy, you mentioned the strip clubs. You mentioned, not wanting to play, asking out. He's done that before, not showing up. That's Harden's M.O. in his career. I don't remember the best playoff moment he's had in his life. I don't see it coming in Philly. We'll see what happens in Houston. Next up is, final game of Week 16 tonight, Colts-Chargers. Hopefully it's better than that total disaster last night. I mean, that Bucks game was unwatchable. Indy is starting Nick Foles, big leap from the practice squad. We can't mention his nickname here on TV, but you remember that run in Philly. Nick Foles has some fans out there. Chargers looking for a win. They can clinch a playoff berth. I'm facing Justin Herbert in the fantasy football playoffs, so I'm not rooting for Herbert. Need the Chargers to get the W, obviously, because we do want to see Justin Herbert in the postseason. Line, according to Fox Bet, 3.5. I would just say wait for a 3 if you can get it. Maybe some dumb money comes in on the Colts, as people are going to want to continue to bet this team.
Sure.
Jeff Saturday, a terrible coach, but Brandon Staley's not great. I'm rooting Chargers here.
I like Staley. Here's the thing. I think the Chargers are going to surge into the 5 seed in the AFC. And I think the Ravens will lose once, and I think the Chargers are going to end up being the top wild card. And I think that is going to set up Herbert versus Trevor Lawrence in round 1 of the playoffs in Jacksonville, which actually is a potentially great quarterbacking matchup. I agree with Joe Burrow. Can't get any respect. He just can't get any respect. It's so weird. Josh Allen got more respect for losing to Mahomes than Burrow got for beating Mahomes in the playoffs. It's bizarre. All right, I do want to get to I do want to get to the NBA yesterday briefly, at least. What's happening in Los Angeles is a crime against basketball history, and we will discuss it next. Nick Wright in for Colin on the Herd.